The Lord be with you. He didn't talk much. He would always greet you with a big smile and a firm handshake. But even after living in our neighborhood for over 50 years, no one could really say that they knew him very well. Before his retirement, he took the bus to work every morning. The lone sight of him walking down the street often worried us. He had a slight limp from a bullet wound received in World War II. Watching him, we worried that although he had survived the war, he may not make it through our changing uptown neighborhood with its ever-increasing random violence, gangs, and drug activity. When he saw the flyer at our local church asking for volunteers to care for the gardens behind the minister's residence, he responded in his characteristically unassuming manner. Without fanfare, he just signed up. He was well into his 87th year when the very thing we had always feared finally happened. He was just finishing his watering for the day when 3 gang members approached him. Ignoring their attempts to intimidate him, he simply asked, "Would you like a drink from the hose?" The tallest and toughest looking of the 3 said, "Yeah, sure," with a malevolent little smile. As Carl offered the hose to him, the other 2 grabbed Carl's arms, throwing him down. As the hose snaked crazily over the ground, dousing everything in its way, Carl's assailants stole his retirement watch and his wallet and then fled. Carl tried to get himself up, but he had been thrown down on his bad leg. Carl tried to get himself up. Again and again he tried. Finally, as he lay there trying to gather himself, the minister came running to help him, having seen him outside the window. "Carl, are you okay? Carl, are you hurt?" The minister kept asking as he helped Carl to his feet. Carl just passed a hand over his brow and sighed, shaking his head. "Just some punk kids. I hope they'll wise up someday." His wet clothes clung to his slight frame as he bent to pick up the hose. He adjusted the nozzle and started to water. Confused and a little concerned, the minister asked, "Carl, what are you doing?" "I've got to finish my watering. It's been very dry lately." Satisfying himself that Carl was really all right, the minister could only marvel. Carl was a man from a different time and place. A few weeks later, the 3 returned. Just as before, their threat was unchallenged. Carl again offered them a drink from his hose. This time they didn't rob him. They wrenched the hose from his hand and drenched him head to toe in the icy water. When they had finished their humiliation of him, they sauntered off down the street, falling over one another and laughing at what they had just done. Carl got up and continued his watering. The summer was quickly fading into fall. Carl was doing some tilling when he was startled by the sudden approach of someone behind him. He stumbled and fell into some evergreen branches. As he struggled to regain his footing, he turned to see the tall leader of his tormentors reaching down for him. Don't worry, old man. I'm not going to hurt you this time. The young man spoke softly, still offering the tattooed and scarred hand to Carl. As he helped Carl get up, the man pulled a crumpled bag from his pocket and handed it to Carl. It's your stuff back, even the money in your wallet. I learned something from you, he said. I ran with that gang and hurt people like you. We picked you because you were old and we knew we could do it. But every time we came, instead of yelling and fighting back, you tried to give us a drink. You didn't hate us for hating you. That bag's my way of saying thanks for straightening me out, I guess. Carl died one cold day that winter. Many people attended his funeral in spite of the weather. In particular, the minister noticed a tall young man sitting quietly in a distant corner. The minister spoke of Carl's garden. In a voice made thick with unshed tears, he said, "Do your best and make your garden as beautiful as you can." The following spring, another flyer went up. It read, "Person needed to care for Carl's garden." The flyer went unnoticed by busy parishioners until one day a knock was heard at the minister's office door. Opening the door, the minister saw a pair of scarred and tattooed hands holding the flyer. "I believe this is my job, if you'll have me," the young man said. The minister handed him the keys to the garden shed and said, "Go take care of Carl's garden." The man went to work. He tended the flowers and the vegetables just as Carl had done. During that time, he went to college, got married, and became a prominent citizen in the community. One day he approached the new minister and told him that he couldn't care for the garden any longer. He explained with a shy but happy smile, "My wife just had a baby boy last night, and she's bringing him home on Saturday." "Well, congratulations," the minister said as he was handed the garden shed keys. "That's wonderful. What's the boy's name?" "Carl," the young man said. "Instead of fighting back, you tried to give us a drink." I believe we have just heard the whole gospel. Amen.